2025 bullish Bitcoin banter and bullshit is back to you once again. Yes, we are here. Mr. All In, aka the Trillion Dollar Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and surprise, surprise, top of the year, still no Mrs. No Show.
We had the summer renaissance, didn't
Ah.
we? The summer fling. Now we're left high and dry with a baby.
But at least it's not a fair weather one, like because we're at all-time highs pretty much. It'd be bad if
Yeah,
it only came to when the price was up.
Yeah.
yeah. We are effectively the modern day three men and a little baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering, so we haven't been in touch about this, and then we obviously had the messages later on. But I was wondering, we're going to do this. It's not as fun when it's a bull run. It's more fun when it's a bear. That's the commitment, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
When it's 13K and everyone's going, "You bought Bitcoin."
Man, don't say that too loud. Fucking, we'll wake up tomorrow, it'll be 13K. You're like,
Oh, no,
having fun now, having fun. It's like,
I'd have loads of fun if that was tomorrow.
Fuck me, I wouldn't.
I don't.
Not right now.
Yeah, how are you going to afford that tennis court if it goes to 13K? I'm like yacht.
Well, I can't. It's gone. You guys would get your wish. I'll be down the tennis centre just knocking around for £4 a game.
Or you get the swing ball from Argos.
Oh, the swing ball. We're the swing ball advocates until he invites us over, and then we're playing on the court, and we're like, did the right thing. This is amazing.
No, well, the planning application has gone in. Weirdly, it's I was looking through all the documents from the house, and like there's been various bits of planning permission asked for this house.
Oh,
Like,
prior, yeah.
number one for the conversion, and then they also had a swimming pool, or planning agreed and stuff. So I can see all the planning documents. They're all written by solicitors, like pages and pages of document drawings and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh God, it was one of the things that was almost going to go, you know what, I might just side with you guys because I'm either going to just not get planning and just YOLO it. But then it was, but if someone
15 quid Argos. 15 quid Argos, yeah.
But I was like,
Exactly.
if
For
I'm
the
going to
money
do it,
which you're spending, you could buy a mountain of cocaine, a swing ball set, and an inflatable paddling pool.
that does sound like quite a few fun
Yeah.
weekends.
I'm sure you could probably get like a little heat on the paddling pool as well from the change. So it could be like really warm. So you don't have to
Yeah.
wear mirror all the time.
And we'll take the rest of the change you were going to spend in consultancy fees.
Yeah. I don't think there'll be much money left over if I'm buying a lifetime supply of cocaine out of a tennis. But yeah, I had ChatGPT wrote my planning application, so let's see if it works.
Oh, nice.
Didn't spend a single
Nice.
penny on solicitor fees. I literally just went into it, and I didn't even know what type of planning to ask for. The way they described them all was so freaking convoluted. I'm like, what the hell? So I asked ChatGPT like, what planning do I need for tennis court? They told me it's just the full planning. It's normal. They ignore what they say. I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, can you write the planning application for me? And it went. I'm like, oh my God. Like that, I literally just had to edit some things and I just copy and pasted it in, press submit. It was like, so we'll now see. If it gets rejected, then I'll probably have egg on my face, but let's see. But yeah, the
Well,
other thing,
again, you could submit the rejected and do it again, can't you?
yeah, well, it costs £300 a time. That's the only thing.
Nah.
What's £300 to $1 trillion man?
I'm still freaking a tight ass, even if I am looking at buying a tennis court. But in any money going to the government, I resent every penny. To even pay them £300 to ask them whether I'm allowed to basically just change the ground. I'm not even building a building here, am I? It's literally, oh, it's grass now. I'm just want to change it basically to an AstroTurf like type all weather ground with a fence around it. Oh,
Basically, it's a classic like American meme for the Brits. Have you got a license for
yeah.
that?
It's bizarre. It's very, very bizarre. But
It's funny you say that as well, in terms of obviously just before we were recording and being a tight ass, but then thinking about obviously spending grands in terms of we're here championing the swing ball and you're there. No, I want a court. But I think how long can we go with these two narratives going along in our head that I'm tight, but I've got money? It's like they're juxtaposing to one another, aren't
I
they?
think
Of
this
like,
is I think this is where it's starting to break for Mr. Orlin. He's got these mountains of cash like Scrooge McDuck away in his vault, and he has to spend some of it. He's a bit tight, but he's got his helicopter, he's got his own pilot, hasn't he?
yeah,
And that's
he's like,
what's happening with
life's
Mr.
too
Orlin
short.
now.
I've got to go. I got to do
Yeah,
it. I got to
it's
do
soon
it.
going to be. I'm going to get a car with a chauffeur because I've got things to do when he's driving me. It's like you haven't even got a fucking job. Why do you need a chauffeur?
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
everyone's on their different journey, right? And it's like an amount of money will mean different things to different people, and different people have different life aspirations. So yeah, any big expense that I make, essentially, obviously a core is an extravagance and definitely, but provided it's not a meaningful percent of your net worth, and why am I doing it? Because I could the price of that I could buy, a cheap Lambo or Ferrari or something like that. So for the same amount of money, I could get the same type of pleasure out of something else, which is like a car or something. But that's purely for me. It's purely just to show off. Like, why am I really doing it? I'm almost doing that to flex that. Oh, look, I have a 100 grand car. To people
yeah.
that majoritively I wouldn't give a shit about their opinion of me. So that would genuinely would be like, oh, that would be me changing and changing my ethics of becoming a Bitcoiner. But why do I want a core? It's like, well, I want it for the kids. I want them to be playing out there. When it's a bit wet and the fields are too muddy, they can play, they can ride their bikes, they can learn a variety of sports. And I would have loved a tennis court. I used to get up at 6 in the morning to get into school for 6:30 to play on the courts before the other kids arrived. So me and my best mate used to both get there at 6:30 and we'd play tennis for hours before school started. Because the second school started in break time and lunchtime, there was like 50 people per court and you couldn't have a proper game.
Yeah.
It was just fucking nuts. So we'd get there at 6:30 and we ended up being decent players and we ended up, playing for our county and we did pretty well. And like, I would have loved to have a court at home to have just been able to play, practice. I'm like, you know what? Number one, I would love to be able to just go outside and have a game of tennis. But I'd love for my girls to be able to just grow up in that
Who are you going
environment
to
where
play
they can go
against?
outside and have a game of tennis. So it does fit into the ethos, even though it
He's
is
just
an
going to get the
extravagance.
automatic ball shooter shooting balls at him,
Oh,
and
Yeah, I
it's
was
just
going to
going
say.
to
definitely getting
be
one of them as well. Definitely
I was,
getting one of them.
I was
yeah,
going to
have
say.
to. You have to.
Otherwise, it's like
And
who are you
stand
going
there
to
and let it
play?
hit you in the face. Go.
Your kids are too young, so are we like, Daddy just thrashed me, Mummy.
Oh yeah, that is absolutely going to be their life. And one
Never
day
let them win.
and one day they'll beat me. And that will be a real victory for them. They will genuinely beat Daddy. And when that day comes, I'll be like, "Yep, you beat me. All those six
Yeah.
nils, you got one. You actually beat me. Yeah, you beat me 6-4, whatever it might be. Yeah, I might be 74, fucking hobbling along like this isn't a proper victory. Like I can barely walk. But I would like to think in the next 10 years, I won't be 74. I will still be able to be relatively good, but they'll be like, 13, 14, 15. And if they've had a decade of having a tennis court in their backyard, I would expect them to be there to beat some 50-year-old. So yeah. So that's how I justify it. But obviously if that was like, half your net worth, then clearly that's a fucking dumb decision. But
Yeah.
if it's less than 1%, then yeah, I don't have too many problems with it. Because that's
Yeah.
always the thing, right? You should be stacking sats, and provided you always know that every time you spend, a sizable amount of Bitcoin or something like that, it's going to be the worst investment decision you ever make. But
Always.
but that's an investment financially. You obviously make lots of investments in life, and like the biggest investment you ever make is where you spend your time. And so I spend the majority of my time with the family, with the kids. So this adds a whole new layer to what we can do with that time. And then so yeah, so that's that's the payoff, right? Like financial gains are only worth so much. Like there's no point dying the richest guy in the graveyard, is there? You want to be spent buy your time back, which number one I've largely done, and then number two is how do you spend that time? Like, are you doing wholesome kind of things with family and friends, or yeah, are you partying, pretending to be some billionaire on Instagram, flexing cars and all that kind of crap? You're like, clearly that's
Big titties and the cocaine does sound appealing. You're right. Yeah.
You might look super successful and you get hit up by loads of people, but when you speak to any of those people, like once they've come off the other side of that, they all say it was fake and they were miserable. Right? It's just, so yeah, I have had quite a lot of comments about that. There's quite a lot of people that liked the fact that you both wailed on me for the tennis court idea, but then also went if because for example, like we were talking about Mark Zuckerberg before we came on with his $1 million watch and stuff, and which is an absolute tiny fraction of a percent basically for the average person. It's like them spending £1, him spending $1 million on a watch. It's the same kind of thing, really, isn't it? It's like obviously I'm not in Mark Zuckerberg land, but if you have the money, what's the point? Like literally, Bitcoin is money, and we're stacking it, but it's designed to be spent, right? And if you're living on a Bitcoin standard like I do, then I don't have a stack of fiat lying around to die. That I will be selling Bitcoin to do things. But
what have you got in your vault, being Scrooge McDuck?
Pretty much nothing.
So if we go on to the actual stories now, I think we're meant to be starting the stories ages ago. The first one.
No. I've got another story, free story, which is anyone go to the Sailor 100K party, Miami?
No, I didn't. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, it finally happened, didn't it? I remember like when Sailor first came in 2020, he started becoming the Giga Chad, which and then evolved to be the Giga Cock. But he said at 100K we'll have a big party and all that kind of stuff. And then I almost forgot, we hit 100K and it's like, oh yeah, Sailor's meant to be having a party. So he made it New Year's. Seemed to be mixed reports about the attendees. Apparently he outsourced the invitee list to Bitcoin Magazine, and they do have a bit of a shitcoin and NFT slant over there. So some dodgy people got in, but there's a load of Bitcoin maxis got in as well. Saw some of the videos on Twitter. Looked epic, of course. He had it in his house. So
amazing!
There was Bitcoiners just running around his house, like sat around his table, like messing with his stuff. Like you just kind of go, "You sure you want people knocking around?" Like clearly, everything he owns is like the best of the best. Like just from the table to the cabinets to the artwork, you can just tell there's just money everywhere. And fair play to letting a load of Bitcoiners in there running around. But I was shocked I didn't get the invite. But maybe at 1 million, who knows? But anyway, all our stories, for a heads up to everyone, they're like all pre-Christmas. What was it? The Tuesdays it landed on, I think it literally did land on.
Christmas Eve and then New Year's Eve.
So yeah, we're dedicated, but we're not that dedicated, and we've got kids.
We have lives. Yeah.
So actually, we were doing other things other than chatting shit on here. So the stories all.
Well, our lives are kids, basically. So yeah.
But weirdly, not a lot happened over the last 2 weeks, I don't think. So I think the stories are relatively relevant.
Yeah, everything's gone quite quiet. Though I think the first one is a good story because I missed this completely myself on Twitter. So BlackRock having a video to explain about Bitcoin. Is it a click moment or is it too long?
It's 3 minutes. Yeah, so it's definitely worthwhile. Anyone listening to, I've already shared it as well with a couple of people. And here's something that I will say actually. So, it's the new year. And I've had 3 people say to me, oh, I'm going to get into that Bitcoin thing. I'm going to look into investing. And so I said, okay, fair play, and I just do my usual. Before you spend any money, just read the Bitcoin Standard. That's the best money that you can spend. And then if you still think that you want to go ahead, put the money in to Coinbase or your favorite next exchange.
Yeah,
So
that's
maybe New Year.
because I must admit it's been a little bit crickets on my side, but yeah, the story of BlackRock releasing a 3-minute educational video explaining Bitcoin. Obviously, it came out 17th of December, and it's had 500,000 views just on the Bitcoin Magazine Twitter. And to be fair, it was a very good explanation in 3 minutes. It was surprisingly good. They didn't throw too much FUD in there. I think there was only one line in there, but it did say it's at one point it said there's no guarantee to stay 21 million. I think it was just
I
in
missed
text.
that.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
Right.
It wasn't. I don't think it was even said. I'd have to watch it again, but I think it was just. It said there's 21 million Bitcoin, but then on the screen it goes, but there's no guarantee that stays that way. Which I suppose technically they're right, because it could change if the consensus of the network is to increase the supply, then it would change. But the odds on the network ever having a consensus to change the supply from 21 million is virtually zero, because it would completely destroy the value of Bitcoin if we did increase the supply, because then we're basically just back into fiat world. But that was the only negative that people found about it, was that it hinted at the fact that the 21 million Bitcoin isn't fixed, which doesn't really need to be in there. But I guess if they've got a load of lawyers at BlackRock, for the quality of this video, it's infinitely better than I would have expected, because there's no like classic FUD in there, that I would typically expect to almost go, oh yeah, buy some Bitcoin, but by the way, this is wrong, climate change, freaking money laundering, sex trafficking, child porn, like this goes
LGBTQ. Just to just throw that in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing here? Advertising a product or doing like just lambasting the product? And to be fair, I think BlackRock have done a good, honest attempt at giving a 3-minute explainer video, and it's one of the best, probably 3-minute explainer videos on Bitcoin.
I feel it needed more around inflation. That's my one kind of critique about it. It kind of touches upon it, whereas the whole principle of Bitcoin is around inflation. But I suppose with what they do, they can't really go into too much detail about inflation, can they?
And
I mean, I was
you've got 3 minutes, haven't you? Because there's loads of things missing, clearly. Like, you want to do the history. Any explainer video really is trying to distill down the Bitcoin standard into 3 minutes. So you have to leave stuff out. You can't explain everything.
But I feel it is the principle though. And then classed it as an emerging global alternative to local currencies. And I was like, oh, that's clever. I like that phrase in which I used. But I think I just missed it. I don't know. It's probably because of Elon's shit posting over the last 2-3 weeks. I completely missed this video.
One thing I was surprised at, again, similar to the whole, stuff about the emerging tech, is the fact that it talked about removing the middlemen and banks. And obviously, yes, true, but they didn't skirt around it. They could have missed that. Because there's things, as we know, that they could have easily said, I want to keep that part quiet in terms of as a positive of Bitcoin, but no. And also the fact where they were talking about, transactions happen relatively fast. And that used to be a big FUD previously. Whereas, as we know with the Lightning Network, lots of truth.
Sweet. Let's get on to a good old fashioned tax story, eh? So these, I think there's going to be a lot of these going on, right? Because I think there's a lot of people that, we that kind of get into Bitcoin and then they don't really understand a lot of things around money and taxes, and how, look, obviously the Bitcoin ethos is taxation is theft, right? But if you're going to not pay it, or you're going to lie about how much you pay, you've got to make sure that you don't still reside in the country that you are essentially stealing from, or like not paying your taxes in, because they will get you. They literally just will. So if you're going to do stuff like this, then just be smart and move. Go El Salvador, go to Puerto Rico, go where the tax is more friendly to Bitcoin sales. And if you don't, like, so for example, I haven't, I pay my taxes and I fucking hate it, but they are the mafia and they will take your freedom if you don't. So this guy, a guy in Austin, Texas, sentenced to 2 years. He sold 3.7 million worth of Bitcoin. What's horrible about this is that 3.7 million came from 640 Bitcoin. So he sold this back at basically 6K a coin back in 2017, which is horrendous, right? In October 2017, oh no, yeah. So in October 2017, the price is basically 6K. A month later, the price is 20K. So there's a 4x in here that he missed by a month. This was 2017 is the 20K top, and then the horrible 4-year bear market after that. But essentially, what he's done is he lied to his accountant, saying that he basically bought 1,300 Bitcoin for various prices, but obviously for very cheap. When he filed his tax return, he basically lied and said he bought the Bitcoin at much higher prices, which means the gains are a lot less, which means therefore the tax will be a lot less. So yeah, and he lied about that and had to basically seemingly lied a lot. So I would guess if he's been ordered to pay $1 million fine as well as 2 years in prison, he probably brought those 1,600 Bitcoin for probably 10, 20K. So I would guess that the majority of what he sold to buy that house, it was probably nearly 100% gain. And he lied and went, no, I bought a load of this Bitcoin at like 3K a coin, 4K a coin, and he didn't. And he pays the ultimate price, which is pay the tax, probably plus a hefty fine on top, and also lose 2 years of your life sat in a cage. I hate to be like the propagandist for paying your taxes, but because I don't like scaring people into paying their taxes, but I think there's too many people that are too lax on this. They don't think that it's real. And obviously you pay your taxes for your pay packet, but then when you do investments and you got your Bitcoin, you're like, oh, it's on my ledger. They don't know what I bought it for. I don't know what I sold it for. Yes, they do. Every exchange has your name, address, your ID. They have and whether your social security number or your national insurance number, whatever your unique ID is for your country, they have it. So when they see you buying and selling, all this gets reported into the government. They literally know how much tax you owe. They pretend they don't know, and they let you guess and have to fill a form in. And all they do is they check the forms that come in against how much tax you actually owe. And the ones that are vastly off, they come after you. Yeah. And that's what's happened to this guy. He's probably never earned decent money in his life, I probably hazard a guess, because once you start doing that, you learn quite quickly. Pay your taxes. It's not worth it, because clearly he's a very rich guy. He's got potentially still hundreds of Bitcoins. It's not that he couldn't afford the tax. He just would rather have not paid it, which I totally get. Jesus, I've been in his similar position where been selling a large amount of Bitcoin to buy a house, and it's horrendous to have to sell even more just to pay for the tax. But if you don't, for years to come, you'll be awaiting that letter or the knock on the door that goes, you're under investigation. And the second you hear that, you go, I know I am screwed, because they have the data. They have the data direct from the exchange of my buys and sells. I know they have it. So no matter what I tell them, it's not going to be able to disprove that. And
you would have to move, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you just got to run. And then obviously you're a convict now.
Yeah.
It's better to go, if you're going to buy a house, right, and you're going to sell like, $3.7 million worth of Bitcoin, for example, to buy this massive house, and you don't like the tax that comes with it, buy that 3.7 million house in a place that doesn't have taxes. Then you don't have to pay.
But the thing is, like, you always think as a child, like, assaults, physical, violent crimes are going to be the ones which take the prison time. It's not, is it?
No.
It's the taxes in particular. which have a big prison time. I wonder why.
I know. I can guarantee this guy would have probably been, okay, fine, you got me, I'll pay. And even if you put like a 20 or 30% fine on top, fine. But they did that and went, but also 2 years in prison. Because
you think they even put Wesley Snipes in prison, didn't they, for years?
Yeah, for tax
evasion. He didn't pay his taxes.
Yeah.
So that's how seriously they take it that one of the Hollywood big actors gets put away.
Yeah.
No.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
It's, yeah. I think there's a lot of people, and I think that type of case is going to happen so much more. Obviously, Bitcoin hitting 100K now. I think the next year potentially is going to be crazy. And if you keep fast forwarding, over the next 5 or 10 years, when Bitcoin hits 1 million, there's going to be so many people that have made so much money in Bitcoin. And a lot of them have never had to fill a tax return in it ever. They've only ever had their pay slip. So
I also think by that point it'll be like we've started having these really weird conversations about unrealized gains. And I think in 5 to 10 years' time, that may be an actual reality.
Yeah.
Which will then put us into a different category where we'll be tax avoiders.
Yeah. But that's when it becomes a do not comply type world. But at the moment, I would say, especially at the moment, like they were going to raise capital gains from 20 to 40. I think they raised it from 20 to 24. So at the moment, I'm still in the camp of it's just about acceptable. 40% was going to be unacceptable to me. I was going to have some big decisions because that's basically, but they're taking half your Bitcoin off you. It's nuts because they've actively taken half of your stack because every time you sell it, the gains just the taxes on it are so high that you have to sell pretty much double the amount of Bitcoin that you would have just to pay the tax on top. But at the moment it's 24, so it's not hugely different to what it was. It's 20. So I kind of go to be close to family, to still be in the country that I grew up in, acceptable. But I think if we do go further down that and it goes to 40 and then they tax unrealized gains, that becomes a breaking point.
I think unrealized gains is when the country's failing and it's whether you try and sit it out or whether it's time to leave. I mean, that is the point when you kind of go, they're trying to be socialist because they're failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem is, like, you not complying to that unrealized gains, you are going to struggle because they obviously, we know that they know, right? They you can't just go, oh, it's on a ledger, and I lost it in a boating accident. They don't give a shit. They're going to send you the letter, and they're going to go, sir, we know that you bought X Bitcoin on these dates. The price is appreciated by X, therefore you owe us Y. Your tax return does not say that. You've got a court date. You have to come and defend yourself.
We have knowledge that. We have knowledge that.
And it's, it's the problem. Like, we live in a surveillance state. The money that the onboarding and offboarding of Bitcoin is completely got, every camera and eyeball on it that you can possibly get on. Every document is filled out. So I just think, who knows, over the next 10 years, El Salvador might get quite busy.
I think Portugal's been leading it as well.
Yeah, it's quite friendly on taxes, but it's not as friendly just on other stuff. It wasn't great in lockdown, for example. It was very, very harsh in lockdown, but its taxes look quite friendly on Bitcoin.
Anyway, talking about prison, talking about everyone's friend Craig Wright. I found this a bit upsetting, this story. So,
what, because of the fact that he might not be on the pod anymore?
No, she's not actually going to prison.
But
I just thought it'd be good if he could actually get sent down and maybe shut him up. But in these stories, Hodlnaut, who is very good friends with Craig Wright, put in that Craig Wright couldn't afford to go to to court for his contempt hearing in London, and he was actually offered the money by what they call copper.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Oh no, I've got to leave my business running," which is, I think, a completely different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he said he had business losses if he left the country for that day. And he went, fine. How much are they? We might cover them as well. He went, 240 grand. It's like, bro, if you're making 240 grand a day in your business, then I'm pretty sure you can afford a flight. But then, yeah, he at the beginning of the trial, he said it was morning there. And then later on, the judge asked him, like, where are you? He just went, can you even name the country? He just went, Asia. And the judge went, that's not a country, that's a continent. Craig just went, yeah, it is. Yeah. So, but then it later turned out that in the whole of Asia, it wasn't morning. So there's a lie in there somewhere. It either wasn't morning or he's not in Asia. It's like, Craig, you can't even answer. He's a pathological liar. It's probably like freaking 9 o'clock at night. He's like, yeah, it's morning. And yeah, I'm in Asia. It's like, are you? I actually believe the Asia thing because his little sugar daddy, Calvin Ayre, lives over there in some jurisdiction that has no extradition rules or laws with the UK or US. That's where they hide out, right? They hide out on these little islands that they can be protected. And
At least can go to one of those, the is it Barings Bank afterwards?
Oh yeah,
do you remember him?
Yeah.
Sure, he went over to that part of the world.
But it's disgusting though, right? Because Craig knew he was going to lose this, right? So this is Craig getting his comeuppance. Like all the other trials have been him suing others for calling him a fraudster and essentially suing them for libel. He lost all those cases, and basically the judges upheld it and went, "It's not libel. They just said you're not Satoshi and you're a fraud. You are not Satoshi and you are a fraud. So therefore, it's not libel because those statements are true." So they threw it out. But then during all those cases, Craig had lied so many times and provided false evidence and lied in court so many times. They basically re-sued him for contempt of court. And yeah, he got found guilty. But Craig's smart. He just goes, he doesn't turn up. Because if he had, there's a very real risk that at the end of this trial, he would be walked off in handcuffs and he would be put in prison. But he got given a suspended sentence. So I think it was 2 years suspended sentence, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So if he does anything wrong in the next 2 years, then he instantly goes to prison. But I guarantee Craig won't step foot in the UK for 2 years. So it's going to be impossible for him to commit a crime over those 2 years because you're not even going to be on British soil. So it doesn't count. If he commits a crime wherever else in the world, then it doesn't matter. It's not going to be. So he essentially got away with it, but he has had to pay out, I think, hundreds of thousands of pounds of court fees and stuff, which I was disappointed actually at the value of that. I thought it's going to be in the millions.
No, I was going to say, how comes it was so low? Because he's there boasting about his wealth, and of course the court fees for others. Hodlnaut obviously had to go through this prior. And it doesn't seem like he's really had to kind of what's the word, like face justice effectively.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, it's the next story. Yeah. So yeah. So the first story was Craig not turning up. The next story that I've got on here is basically the fallout. But yeah, it says likely, but he was sentenced in the end to 2 years. But it was it's suspended. He didn't have to actually didn't have to go.
Yeah.
And also there's no extradition. So he knew that even if it wasn't a suspended sentence, he knew he was in a territory that had no extradition. So he would just have to avoid the UK for a couple of years and then it all goes by the by. Yeah, and Craig also had a $1 trillion case that he just randomly added to it that essentially he was claiming the entire Bitcoin network was his. And yeah, the judge threw that out before they even started. But yeah, there's the full. It's these guys that have covered this case were so good. Like the shot by shot. Yeah. The tweets that they were writing were so good. I was following this case throughout the day, and it's a shame because we all wanted Craig Wright to get his comeuppance and spend some time in prison, but he's just a snake, isn't he? He knows how to play the system, and he's yet again freaking got away with it, hasn't he? But it still remains that he is the only person on planet Earth that is 100% not Satoshi. So that's a nice outcome. He's the only person that legally has been found to not be Satoshi.
It's a bit of a bad news week, isn't it? Like we've had the tax imprisonment, we've had Craig not getting prison time, and now we've got a third story, which is another bad one in a row. So this is about the IMF and loaning El Salvador money.
Yeah, this one's a bit dodgy. Yeah, it doesn't look great. This does it?
Yeah, so can't pay taxes in Bitcoin as part of the loan agreement. And I kind of do wonder about this. Like El Salvador seems to have actually got themselves in a position. Do they really want to take a loan from the devil?
Well, it's actually, yeah, they also took out a big loan from the IMF, yeah.
See, this one was interesting because I know it was a story a couple of weeks ago, but then I think it was around about the same time when they were like, we're debt free. And then they
Yeah.
went into an agreement with the IMF. It was very odd.
It is. And they've loaned a substantial amount of money as well from the IMF. And as we know, that comes with loads of clauses. It basically means you have to regulate your country in a certain way. You know, that they all claim it's all part of compliance and regulation, but we know what it really is. It's to protect the US dollar and to make sure that the citizens have the relevant surveillance on it. And you spend the money in places that they want you to spend the money. And that isn't to promote Bitcoin. That will be to promote fiat and promote the US dollar.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it was only last year that I remember, you know, Bukelele trolling the IMF, you know, when they were writing articles, when he was turning down their loans and they were like, oh, yeah, you know, they're going to go in the toilet. He was just memeing them on Twitter, you know, like laughing in their face. Like, I don't give a shit that I don't have your IMF loan. We're going to be self-sufficient. It's going to be fine. And everything seems to have gone great in El Salvador. And then out of nowhere, they announce they've got a huge loan from the IMF. And now taxes can't be paid in Bitcoin. And you go, was that one of the clauses?
Yeah.
Was that one of the things that they asked you to do? Which I would strongly suggest that it probably was. So, yeah, who knows, eh? We've always had our doubts about Bukelele. I'd like to still lean positive, but signing a deal with the IMF, yeah, that is doing a deal with the devil, right? It just is. Those loans come with so many clauses. You have to agree to lockdowns. You have to agree to, you know, funding the WHO, funding the UN. There's a whole host of stuff that you're exempt from. You get to govern your country as a single entity. Once you take an IMF loan, they want you to become dependent on it. They're almost like a drug dealer, where it's like, here's some money.
It is.
But at any point, like basically you take that money and then you go and fund a load of public services with it. But then they'll go, right, you need to lock your country down for the year. And you go, well, no, I don't want to do that. It's like, right, well, that loan becomes due now then. Read your contract. It's like, well, we've spent it. We'll pay it back over the term we agreed. No, you need to lock down. Otherwise, it is breach of contract, and therefore the full loan is payable, you know, within 3 days. And you go, well, we don't have it. It's like, well, lock down your country then. And that's hence why, like, you know, we get global lockdowns where everyone complies, because they're essentially being extorted via IMF loans. so it's a bit bizarre that Bukulele has entered into this because I can guarantee that those kind of things will be attached to that loan. I want to remain positive, but it is not a good signal. It's definitely a red flag.
Yeah, it makes me wonder because again, the country was doing so well and prosperous. Didn't really need to go back into this position. So I'd love to be a fly on the wall that made them have to agree or to even talk to the IMF. They shouldn't even be on the El Salvadorian soil. So I would like to understand a little bit more around that, and maybe the Max and Stacys of this world, or the Bukuleles of this world will come out and actually clear things up because, as I said, it happened a couple of weeks ago, and we've not really seen anything since.
Yeah. Well, I've
It's
just
not a massive loan as well. Like I'm just having a quick look, and it's
But that's what I
1.4
mean.
billion.
no
They,
billion.
they, they shouldn't
Yeah,
they
I said
shouldn't
billion.
really need
Yeah, there's a B on them.
anything.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
you can see like so this 1.4 billion loan, like you can see like straight away like what did El Salvador get out of it? There used to be a CCC rated. Now they're B minus. And
Okay.
so it's they straight away that you kind of because once you start playing the game, they start going, oh, here's your rewards, right? So now that you've got this loan, now your status has gone from a triple C to a B. If you keep going, take a few more loans, we might get you up to an A. It's the classic world, isn't it? Where, how do you get good credit as an individual? Oh, take loads of loans out and prove you can pay them back. Well, hold on. Isn't someone that should have a really high credit score someone that isn't in debt? Someone that just has a positive bank balance? Oh, no, the banks hate that. The banks like you to be in debt and then be proving that you're paying it back. It's like, well, that sounds a little bit like extortion, where I have to buy from you and pay the interest on the loans to get a good credit score from you. It feels like I'm paying for a good credit score there. It doesn't feel like the credit system is actually genuinely rewarding people that are financially secure. It's just paying. It's you only get a good credit score if you buy their products. And it's pay to play. Which hence why I have an awful credit score because I'm not in debt. I just haven't Bitcoin and then money hits my account and then disappears. Banks hate me. They won't even give me a $5,000 loan. Never mind, like, a 1.4 billion loan. But surely I am way more creditworthy than the majority of people in reality. The odds on me paying back a 10,000 loan is probably much higher than the average person. But if you looked at my credit score, I'm probably in the bottom half. I would hate to look it up because they fucking hate me. And it would just be ironic. And the fact is that no activity equals bad. They want to see regular
It's true.
credit stuff, which and clearly like he's decided maybe to play that game, but yeah, I don't like it. Don't taking if you honestly need that 1.4 billion for whatever it was, there's other place to get it from other than the IMF.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and another nice positive story, quantum computing is going to break
Ah,
encryption.
yeah,
let's just sell it all and get into F.
No. But then
this one's a minute long, well, minute 23. So yeah, maybe you want to play the clip, but essentially, yeah. So essentially, Chamath says that in the next 2 to 5 years, that quantum computing will become a thing thanks to AI and could potentially break Bitcoin's encryption.
Hasn't quantum computing been on the horizon for about 20 to 30 years now?
And such a meme. It all came from the fact that Google put out that announcement, didn't they? That they have they've managed to get a quantum bit or something. And
Yeah.
and the funny thing is that they reckon that they've solved like this quantum equation via this technique. But the problem is no one can validate or verify that's true because no one has a quantum computer to verify that it's true. And it would take like 3,000 years for a normal computer to figure out what the answer is. So essentially their quantum computer has come out and gone, oh yeah, this is the answer to that. No one can verify whether it's true or whether it's right. And I think I need to these stories when will this come out? Yeah, December 13th this came out. So this is hence why it's nearly a month old now. And so I'm trying to remember what the details were, but I'm pretty sure it was like to have an actual functioning quantum computing chip, you need like something like 256 bits in this thing. And Google think that they've got one of them working. And it isn't like once you get one, the rest are easy. Actually, just the difficulty is almost like hockey stick growth, which to get one working and stable is extreme difficulty, which I would still argue has not been done. Google has not done it. They claim to have, but it can't be verified. But then to get two, it would be just as much work again. Three is just as much work again. And then to go so you have to go all the way up to hundreds until you actually have a quantum computer that actually can hack encryption.
And my favorite part about this was towards the end when he's talking about how quantum computers can do this, and he says all this stuff we haven't figured out how to do, but it's a really big deal. And I'm just like,
I know, and I love how it ends up. Everyone always just ends up on Bitcoin as well. Like at the end, like, oh, quantum computing, like it's going to hack SHA-256, and suddenly every Bitcoin wallet will just be open, and whoever holds the power of that quantum computer can just take all the Bitcoin. And you go, okay, well, yeah, maybe they will do that, but also it means every single bit of encryption in the world is available. So literally every single, like every phone, every computer will just be open. So for example, the nuclear launch codes will be open. You could just send a nuke off to wherever you wanted. Every bank account in the world, like out of all the money to grab, are you going to grab Bitcoin? Are you going to grab the dollars? You're going to grab the pounds? You're going to grab the yen? You're going to grab shares?
Yeah.
Everything. I guess in reality, if that fell into the bad hands, they're going to grab it all.
Yeah.
And straight away, like always, this is like an old argument, I think, that potentially we had on the pod, or maybe it's something that even predates the pod when the last time quantum computing came around. But the most likely network that will be quantum safe, if quantum computing ever does come around, because I think at the moment it's just a bit of a meme that it's even possible, but we have an open, decentralized platform where the most talented crypto and like cybersecurity type developers are Bitcoiners. Then you have the banking system that is still working on 1980s tech, right? Swift and
80s, freaking 60s.
Mainframe computers runs the majority of the banking system. Who's going to update their infrastructure first?
Yeah.
If quantum genuinely is coming around the corner, I can guarantee you the smartest people on the planet that work in Bitcoin will secure our network and update SHA-256 with whatever is quantum safe.
Yeah.
They'll
protect themselves and their own assets, which they're into, as opposed to anything else.
Yeah. And we have no bullshit like legacy. It's just going to be, right, this is the encryption. And we've got the smartest people on the planet there to lead the charge to upgrade the Bitcoin infrastructure. Then you've got the banking infrastructure, the nuclear codes, the government systems. Like if quantum computing becomes a thing, Bitcoin is probably the thing that is the safest, and everything else is just going to be an absolute playground for hackers. So it's always funny when quantum computing gets brought up, then the next comment is, oh, does that hack Bitcoin? Like, why do you not think it's going to hack your bank account? It's not going to hack your social media. It's going to hack your government. It's going to hack your water company, your electric company. They can switch electricity off. They can switch the water off. They could crash planes into each other. They could smash all the Teslas into each other. Like there's so many nuts things that could be done with quantum computing, and I don't know why Bitcoin always ends up front and center in the crosshairs of quantum computing, because it's ironically, I honestly think it's the safest thing from if the unlikely event quantum computing becomes a thing. Bitcoin is likely going to be safe and everything else will be probably fucked. So anyway, should we move on to another nice, light, uplifting story about some pleb losing all his Bitcoin?
I know it's the positive week, isn't it?
Hey, look, it's January. The first week of January is known as the most depressing week of the year. So we have a pod that matches and blends in with the theme of the year.
So on this one, he couldn't remember his 8-digit code to get into his ledger, and he wanted to move to a Jade, and he typed it in wrong 3 times. But he's like, "Oh, no, don't worry, I got my C phrase somewhere." He'd written down on a piece of paper, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't think I spotted that in the story, but I've read this one before. And I was just like,
it's relatively new. It's 20th of December. He posted
no,
it.
I must have read it then. And I kind of went, he's written on a piece of paper, he's looking through shoe boxes, and I'm like, if he's got a significant amount of Bitcoin, why the fuck didn't you just buy some metal?
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah, he spent the weekend. He's got a 2-bedroom apartment. Look for every shoe, jacket, pants pocket, every drawer, cabinet. What he didn't realize, his biggest failure was he didn't realize that entering your PIN 3 times into your ledger forces a factory reset. He didn't know that, which, to be fair, is probably something that maybe you don't know. But it tells you have 1 in 3 chances. But I guess he just thought at the end of 3, I'll just get a 4th, maybe, who knows? But it literally resets the device, which then means you have to put in your 12 or 24 words. And yeah, he hadn't taken that seriously. And all you can assume is that he's lost that bit of paper, and hence he lost.
Well, he's actually getting donated sats by people in the comments. So like
Yeah.
Pedro's giving him sats. So I'm also kind of going, is this true?
Yeah.
People are feeling sorry for him, and I'm wondering whether he's just out there begging with his begging bowl, getting more than what he's ever had.
Yeah. I know. Here was my Christmas spirit. I was like, so she had your life savings in a wallet, you didn't know where the seed was. This is just reckless, and the cost of being your own bank. 10 minutes of checking this once in 4 years would have prevented this. Fail to prepare to fail. Could just it is hugely reckless. You know, I'll let him off on not knowing that a ledger resets after 3 failed attempts. I'll let him off on that. But if you buy a ledger, you know the 12 to 24 words is critical. That ledger could fail at any time. So you have to have the backup. You have to take the backup extremely seriously. Everybody knows that. And he didn't. So not only did he not know that it resets after 3 goes, which, like I said, is a little bit more nuanced, but not having the backup. And he says in here, like, this is his life savings, right? This is nuts. This is like he's been stacking for years, managed to get to a whole Bitcoin. He's really happy that he managed to get to 1 Bitcoin after 4 years. So essentially, he would have had about $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, and then through some stupid mistake, it's all gone. And yeah, and then my comment about the whole being your own bank comes with a certain amount of cost and effort. It's just true. You can't be lazy when it comes to Bitcoin, and if you are, you'll get punished. You need to understand this type of stuff, and it isn't that difficult. I just sending a Bitcoin to a USB and storing 24 words and putting and just looking after them so you know where they are. That isn't. We're not asking people to jump through too many hoops there. Yeah, we're not asking you to build a massive building and have a load of people standing out with armed guards and have a vault inside and a load of security systems, and you don't need all that. You just need to do the basics, and it's kind of scary. I think there's going to be a lot of stories like this where people put stuff on ledgers, don't really understand what they're doing. The ledgers fail, or they lock themselves out and then they don't know where the 24 words are.
Yeah. I just think it's a case with many things, like, the barrier for people just to think about, okay, I'm going to invest. Okay, cool, I'm going to invest. And then, they lock themselves out of their Coinbase account, or they then do it on their ledger. It, it's just too much brain power for people to compute sometimes. And they just think that it's going to be easy. Whereas we know that you have to actually put in the work. And as we again said before recording, I really won't talk to many people about Bitcoin unless you've proven to me that you've read the Bitcoin Standard, which I always recommend first. Because other than that, I know you're going to end up being one of these people, and I haven't got time for it.
Yeah. I think it's the people that come in for the gains and then later on realize they're in for revolution, but don't go back.
Yeah.
They just hear that, oh, you need to don't leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. They go, why? Say, oh, because the exchange might go down. And they go, okay, I'll just send it to this USB device. And they just assume it's like super safe. And you go, well, it is, but you need to assume that device will fail. If that device fails, what next? You need to look after that device very well, but then you also then need to look after the backup words extremely well. And if you don't do either of those two things, then you're going to be screwed.
Yeah.
So it's yet another warning to people that, yeah, take your Bitcoin off exchanges, but if you do put it onto some hardware wallet, just look after the 24 words, please. Look after the 24 words. Because yeah, again, I think it's almost like the theme of the pod is just like, I think there's a lot of things that are coming up, like all-time highs bring out a lot of negativity, as in people just losing stuff. Like they go to finally sell, because I can guarantee that guy was about to sell some Bitcoin, right? He's managed to stack one coin. He's fired up his ledger, probably about to sell some, send it to an exchange, and he's fucked himself and he's lost 100K. You know, don't fuck yourself. Don't fuck yourself on your ledgers. Don't fuck yourself on taxes. Just oh man, just get the basics right, and Bitcoin will do the rest. But anyway, we've got this is something we used to laugh about on the pod, which was Coinbase's Earn to Learn little program. We used to love it.
Yeah.
We used to absolutely love it, didn't we? You used to like fill out those shitcoin surveys. You used to earn a couple of dollars worth of whatever shitcoin they had, straight away converted to Bitcoin. And we'd be on our day. Yeah, you probably
It's been
yeah
2 years since.
Oh yeah, totally dead now. Totally dead.
They took them away from me because I used to love doing them, and then I lost them all before you guys did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason they cut you off before us. Yeah.
And then I was messaging like the contact support, and they're like, "Oh no, your friends aren't getting it." I'm like, "They fucking are."
Yeah. They're sending me screenshots.
We were being invited to the party, and you didn't get an invitation.
I was sitting at home watching a film on my own while you two were out at the party.
Yeah.
I had my $10
True to life. Yeah.
and then just straight away converting it into Bitcoin and just like beautiful. This is just the greatest thing of all time. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's not like I was doing anything different than you two, which is pretty much do it, sell it, buy Bitcoin. Literally, that's exactly what all three of us did.
Yeah. You just did the direct conversion. Yeah. But this is the other side of the story, right? Because obviously we were already toxic maxis when we were doing this Earn to Learn stuff. So we just knew that, yeah, whatever this shitcoin is, click next, and get the shitcoin, convert it to Bitcoin.
Quite often quizzes, and it's just I had to watch them in the end.
Yeah. I used to like be able to guess the quizzes. They used to let you go as many times as you wanted. It's not like the quiz they do now around whether you're a high value investor or not. You get one go at that stuff, and then you can be
Yeah,
banned
but
from
all you do is you say that you earn over 100 grand and you have like 500 grand's worth of assets.
it. Yeah. But most people aren't comfortable saying those things if you don't have them. And if you don't say that, like for example, there's one Bitcoin I saw on Twitter literally the other day, and he answered the survey um, on Kraken honestly and went, "Yeah, I'm going to put more than 10% of my net worth into Bitcoin." They then banned him from investing in Bitcoin because that you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say you're going to put more than
Yeah.
10% in.
Well, he should go to one of the gambling websites and put 10% of his net worth on that.
Put 100% your net worth in there, and they'd fucking happily take it. Yeah, it's hilarious.
But this post has got some beautiful quotes in it. Instead of teaching me why Bitcoin was transformative, Coinbase dragged me into a shiny little fun house of lies. While Bitcoin was busy transforming lives in El Salvador, I was farming cake tokens and pretending to cloud mine electronium like an idiot. And now this is actually a really serious bit. So I think I had this kind of like moment in 2020, but 2000 then, but this is his moment. I think this is great. Then 2022 hit. The trucker rally in Canada stopped me dead in my tracks. Watching the government freeze people's bank accounts for donating to peaceful protesters finally opened my eyes. And that's a really serious bit, but some brilliant quotes earlier on. But you're kind of going back to a moment which I think a lot of people just ignored. You know, they were, what is it, threatening to take animals, they're threatening to take children, they're freezing bank accounts, threatening to send people to prison, all over because people didn't want to take this vaccine because they were going in a truck and they had no one else in the cab with them, so there's no reason for them. They weren't harming anyone. And yeah, it was an absolute shit show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, some positive news. Positive news this week. Trudeau's resigned.
Has he?
What?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
He's going to move to Cuba, land of daddy.
So you are ending the pod on a happy note.
That's nuts. Yeah, Jesus Christ, I didn't even see that. I know like Poilievre has been like raging at the moment, and it looks like he's just gonna win by a landslide. But for Trudeau just to duck out before it even happens, I suppose they just know. They'll just put some other puppet in that will try and yeah. Anyway,
I've been liking Pierre's posts for about 3 years now, way ahead of the curve.
well, yeah, we've had him on the pod like numerous times. Like he's been the only person
Yeah.
to we had him on this pod when he was just a random guy in the other party that had no chance, and we were like, this is the guy that's talking sense, but it's a shame he's never going to ever be the PM of Canada. And now we're at the point where he's a shoo-in, he's the favorite to be
I do wonder he's being corrupted though. Everyone's got
exactly
a
that's the
price.
problem. I've listened to I literally actually watched weirdly an interview with him today, and it looks like he's still saying the same things. He's going to cut spending, be more efficient. You know, it's bring common sense back to politics and stuff like that. So obviously, all these things are easy to say. Let's see what he does when he gets in power. But
Yeah.
but yeah, back to this Coinbase story. This is like obviously, you know, he ends his post with, "So thanks Coinbase for wasting 4 years of my life. I got here anyway." So this is like those earn to learn things. Like we obviously already were Bitcoiners, so we knew just to dismiss them. He was reading these things. He thought they were real. He thought that the various new tech that was being described in these learning little protocols and yeah, like cloud mining, cake tokens, and all that kind of stuff. He thought this was real. He spent real time trying to figure that out and tried to figure out crypto and went into it in a big way and realized after 4 years of kind of experimenting and playing in that crypto land that he came back to Bitcoin again. Is like, for fuck's sake, I probably wouldn't have wasted as much time if Coinbase didn't pay me $5 to $10 to explore these shit coins. And you know,
Well, that's what they rely upon. It's what they make their money on, these shit coins.
Yeah.
of course it is, yeah. And we know that. Like obviously Bitcoiners aren't particularly profitable. we buy Bitcoin, we send it off the exchange, and then you don't see us again. That's it. You don't see that Bitcoin again. It's just all we do is just buy DCA. They want people coming back, buying, selling, going into a different asset, leveraging that, staking some cake cloud mine coin for 3 years. That's what they want you to do because every single trade is a fee. But they don't say it like that, do they? They say it like it's they're helping you and it's free money, and that free money.
And you're learning more about cryptology.
Yeah.
And I remember all the lies, and you just thought, shut up. Like, you're making this up because after a while, and obviously Dr. Evil 10%, you won't know as much because you weren't getting them coming through. It was like just a spin on the same sentences, just in a different way to kind of, obviously we were just clicking through to get through the actual quiz. But it was just like, wow, you've put effort into nothing, basically. You are trying to give us the same rhetoric to make people believe it. It's like, no, stop.
I'd love to go back into my Coinbase account and just have a look at, because it was hundreds and hundreds of dollars, wasn't it, in the end? I did 20, 30, 40, 50 of these things. And they were all they'd pay out anything from $2 to $10, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And I'd love to see if I'd have kept my money in that shitcoin, how much would it be worth now? Because I reckon it's probably about $200 or $300 I probably got for free from Coinbase for all those shitcoin learn to earn things. It's probably worth about $5 now if I'd have kept it in the shitcoin. But instead, I converted it to Bitcoin, and it's probably worth 10x. But yeah, it's a sad story because I'm sure there's plenty of people that went down the same path of this guy. You see, he clearly seems like pretty switched on and a relatively intelligent guy. But yeah, he even claims in here it was the toxic maxis that finally opened his eyes. That's the thing, like you need someone to tell you that don't be soft and go, oh yeah, maybe that project does have promise. And you need to be told it's a fucking scam, mate. What are you doing? Stop it. Buy Bitcoin, fuck everything else. And that's the kind of comment that snaps you out of the trance of this blockchain and no, it's a scam, bro. It's a scam. Sell it and buy Bitcoin.
Someone who I radicalized, he was into Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm like, why are you into Ethereum? Oh, it's just got so much promise. It does all these bits which Bitcoin can't. And I said, what, the internet of everything? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, it's the internet of nothing. It doesn't do anything. It's a fucking technology which doesn't seem to work properly, does it? And within a month, he'd sold all his Ethereum.
Yes.
But yeah, I know plenty of shit coiners through work.
Exactly. And it's our last story of the week, really, which is again, the toxic maxis just coming in for a win. Where we've got this guy here saying, he's a shitcoiner. He used to post about shitcoins, and every time the Bitcoin maxis jumped in the comments telling me just to focus on Bitcoin, everything else is bullshit. I thought they were just hating, didn't understand. Now I realize they're just trying to save me. And that's the weird thing about us toxic maxis. Usually toxic people are just trying to make themselves feel better and just hating on people because they're sad and insecure and probably depressed about their own life. We're toxic for different reasons. We don't have time for this shit, and we're trying to just get people to the correct asset. And sometimes we'll spend the time and go, oh, let's give you a shortened version of the Bitcoin standard if you're willing to listen. But other times we'll just go, you're a fucking moron, stop it. And it's not because we're being negative or we're being, we're depressed about our own lives. It's just that we know the fucking answer. It's like 2 + 2 = 4, and other people just keep going, but it might be 5. You're like, it's not though, is it? It's 4. Like, have you considered the answer could be 6? Like, are you being serious? Shut up. The answer's 4. And in this instance, it's like, what's the best form of money over the next probably 500 years? It's Bitcoin. And they go,
Yeah.
are you sure it's not cake token? Yeah.
It
Do
goes
you,
back
do you not
to
want do you not want to cloud mine electronium?
Like, what do
it,
you
it goes
think?
back to your
What do
analogy
you
though
fucking
of
think?
you know when people are shopping and they go, whether it's online or in person, and they go to that first shop and they see exactly what they want, but they can't just stop there. The curiosity, the human curiosity means that they have to continue to go to shop after shop and then go back to the first one only once they convinced, okay, I'm not getting done over here, or I'm not missing out on something that I could have had. We just can't do it.
Yeah, to be fair, I do that.
Yeah, I do it. Yeah.
I
Uh,
do that. Yeah. I'll see something in one
y-
shop, but like, oh, but I just want to see if there's anything better, and then go, there isn't. I'm going back.
yeah.
And and I did that with Bitcoin as well. I literally that's literally my story with Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin, and I thought, hold on, these other things look quite exciting, could look quite shiny, and bought a few of those, and then went a bit deep and went, oh, hold on, I've gone down the wrong path here. Sold all and put it back into Bitcoin, and then you're cleansed, aren't you? But
Yeah,
that
yeah.
guy was cleansed. Like the last two stories we've
I
had,
was
both
going
of
to
them
say
got
two
cleansed,
of
but they went down shitcoin alley for a period of time.
the three of us are cleansed of shit coins.
Still holding one each.
I'm still holding. I'm still holding.
He's hodling the
I've
internet
got a
of
feeling you don't even
everything
know
and
how to
nothing.
sell it at this point.
Do you have it
No,
on a ledger or do you have it on Coinbase?
no, it's on the ledger.
Yeah, there's no way you now to get rid of that.
He's hodling.
Just
If I
whatever
don't
you
know how to
do,
get
when
rid of
you go to
this,
sell that, just please don't fucking compromise the Bitcoin that's also sat on the same wallet.
no. Well, you can't really. So
You
yeah.
can, you can,
Oh, okay. Right.
you can.
No, I won't be doing that.
Whenever you're messing with your ledger and you're sending any coin to and from it, there's risk.
Yeah, true, true.
And yeah, and Ethereum's just a fucking weird one anyway. You have to it's just horrendous. You have gas fees and yeah.
Yeah,
It's not as weird actually, because I remember like really back in the day, if you're in shitcoin land, this is one of the things that people used to that got hacked, but they couldn't drain the wallet because if you had zero Ethereum in your wallet, but you had a load of shitcoins that were built on Ethereum, to be able to send any of those shitcoins out, you had to have Ethereum to pay the gas fee.
that's right.
So some people got away with it because they compromised their wallets, but they'd have potentially hundreds of thousands worth of these random shitcoins, but they'd have no Ethereum in their wallet. So when the hackers got in, they couldn't send it out. They had no gas fee. So you have to send the wallet like
Send.
$100 worth of Ethereum to then get out hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in that time, you secure your own wallet. But oh man, it's obviously a completely stupid ecosystem that because now there's not just Ethereum, there's Solana, there's Canado, it's just an absolute nonsense. Like Bitcoin's just so simple. You stack your
Yeah.
Bitcoin and yeah, you pay a fee to send your Bitcoin to another wallet. You pay the miners to secure the network and transfer those funds. It all just makes sense. There's nothing weird. Ah, but yeah, it's nice. Just I think at the end of like another all-time high, it's another one of those times when there's a load of shitcoiners that just kind of find their place in Bitcoin. They just suddenly realize that yeah, you can make a quick buck in shitcoin land, but that's what it is. You're making a quick buck. Get in, get out. Bitcoin's where you come
Yeah.
and you stay. This is actually the revolution that um was promised 10 years ago and just continues to march on. And all these shitcoins that just kind of hijack the Bitcoin mission and add more exciting stuff onto it and go, oh yeah, we do all that plus this, plus that, plus that.
Yeah.
How many times it's literally probably been thousands of times that has now come and failed. that I think people are
But
starting to learn. But
again,
yeah,
it goes back to if we don't get people to put in the work, then they're still going to have this high time preference, and the high time preference is what comes from gambling and the shitcoinery. So, yes, I'm still holding my ETH with my low time preference, but I still think that people need to put the work in.
yeah, I'd say it's not low time preference. I'd say it's laziness.
No,
Do you genuinely think ETH will outperform Bitcoin?
oh no, well, it's not like I've added to it. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, I use it or think of it more as play money. Um, and I want it to get to a certain value, and then I want to buy stuff with it as play money and not have to sell Bitcoin.
I know, but you do realize that's just a weird psychological game that you're playing in your own head because you've literally got there's two assets, right? And you've actively just said one will perform worse than the other. So you may as well convert it to the better performing asset and then take out that value of that good asset as play money, and not beat yourself up about it.
Just can't. Oh, yeah, again, but it just goes back to playing these narratives at the same time with one another. It hurts the head.
Yeah, it's good. I guess you've never sold Bitcoin, have you?
No, never, never.
Yeah, because once you end up on a Bitcoin standard, like when you're all in, and it's just
Yeah,
obviously I've sold Bitcoin lots of times. It's like I have to live my life. Once you convert all your fiat, you've got no other choice. But for you, it's still it's an investment vehicle and it's a savings vehicle, and it's golden, isn't it? Like the number of sats you just
correct.
want going up and up and up. But for you,
Yeah.
you've literally got an Ethereum just sat there that is, I think it's about 50 or 60% down on Bitcoin. So it's already cost you a number of thousands of dollars. So the longer you hold it, the longer it's going to cost you more and more and more. You're much better to convert that Ethereum into Bitcoin, just add it to your stack, and then let Bitcoin go to a value instead, and then just take out a piece and have a little bit of fun with
Oh,
the piece. You you can sell
I
Bitcoin.
hear you.
Weirdly, we
Oh.
need to break down this like barrier of like selling Bitcoin. I know like Saylor and the fucking Gigacock says he's never going to sell his Bitcoin. It's like it's retarded to say that type of stuff. It just is fucking stupid. Bitcoin is money and it's designed to be spent. What it's good at is holding its value. So you don't need to freaking work until you're 75 and have both your the husband and wife both working 60 years of their life to freaking just afford an average house and put their kids through school. But you're supposed to
Yeah.
sell it. You're not supposed to hoard it until you die and not spend anything. You're supposed to have a decent quality of life along the way.
Oh
It's money
gosh.
that doesn't
Yeah.
rot.
Oh, he's coming up with yeah, yeah. I'm about to be sick. You're just talking about selling Bitcoin. But
Man,
you're right.
you've been
Yeah.
holding like because the thing is like it's a weird mental game that you've got like, oh, I sell my Ethereum, but by
Yeah.
holding Ethereum, it means you don't have that equivalent value in Bitcoin. So you're literally just playing psychological games with yourself. If you just switch it away and go, whatever the thing you're about to buy of a price of about an Ethereum, that's what you've got, right? And it's just denominated at the moment in Ethereum. You could denominate it in Bitcoin tomorrow. It would increase in value faster, and then you could sell it and get the thing that you want. But you're leaving it in an asset that isn't Bitcoin that you don't value purely so it is easier to sell. That is,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though you actively know it will perform poorer than Bitcoin,
Yeah.
you'll get that
Yeah.
thing later. And you might
Yeah.
never get that thing because Ethereum is probably going to trend to zero for the next couple of years. So you would rather let that money trend to zero than convert it to the Bitcoin today, let it go up in value and buy the thing just so you don't have to sell Bitcoin.
Just so that I know I'm clean and I've never sold Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah, that is retarded.
You're right. It is retarded when you say it out loud. It is.
And it's fine. It's not
Another
a crime
mental
to sell some
hurdle.
Bitcoin. Like it's literally it's what it's
Another
designed
mental
for.
hurdle.
It's a medium of exchange. And of course, we all need to stack it, and it's going to be generational wealth. Of course, that is all the thing. If the thing that you're buying is 50% of your stack, then yes, don't fucking do it. If it's 1% of your stack,
Yeah.
then it's going to
Yeah.
add something to your life. Then fucking you do you. You fucking buy that thing.
I think he's playing 4D chess with us, Dr. Evil 10%, so that he can get his tennis court.
It should be a swing ball and an inflatable
Yeah.
paddling pole.
Yeah.
I'd still be in my
Right.
one bed. I lived in a one bed apartment with fuck all for a decade. I'm freaking living my life now, all right?
Right, let's do this. Okay, so that was Pod 163 brought to you by Mr. Rollin, aka the Trillion Dollar Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and surprise, surprise, it's 2025, no Mrs. No Show, but you got a great show. Peace.